Masculinity and gender inequality are strongly linked to men's violence against women. Men's rigid attachment to particular ideas of masculinity means they are more likely to display sexist, disrespectful, and violent attitudes and behaviours. But let's have a closer look at how this can help to drive violence against women. There are 4 aspects of gender inequality that consistently predicts and help drive men's violence against women. We refer to these as the 4 gender drivers of violence against women. And there are important considerations here for men and masculinity.
Driver 1. Condoning of violence against women. Condoning violence against women occurs in many ways, such as when we excuse, trivialise or justify this violence, or when we blame the victim. Men in Focus shows that often violence and aggression is associated with men and boys, even in ways that we might accept or excuse. How often are boys encouraged to use their fists to sort out their problems in the schoolyard? How often are boys told not to cry, but expressing anger in destructive ways is normalised and seen as more masculine than being vulnerable and admitting weakness or fear? How often do we see statements in the media that seek to excuse, trivialise, or explain a man's action when he perpetrates domestic and family violence? And what message does it send when there is no accountability for men's sexism and use of violence in some of our highest institutions, like in Parliament and our justice systems, for example? When we support or condone men's aggression and violence in general, men's violence against women is more likely to happen.
Driver 2. Men's control of decision-making and limits to women's independence in public and private life. In private, violence is more common in relationships where men make all the decisions, feel they own their partners, or hold rigid ideas about being the breadwinner or head of the household. In public, when women have less independence and power, this sends the message that women are less valuable or worthy of respect, making violence against them more likely. It also means that women have less input into making important decisions that affect their lives. Men in Focus highlights how men are expected to be in control, to be leaders, to be providers and breadwinners, and are seen as more manly when they are these things. It also means that less women are in positions of power and able to make decisions that affect women more broadly.
Driver 3. Rigid gender stereotyping and dominant forms of masculinity. Gender stereotyping is when we promote the idea that there are natural or innate ways for women and men to behave, such as that men are naturally aggressive and dominant, and that women are naturally passive and submissive. Rigid gender stereotyping impacts people of all genders, because it is based on a binary. It is oppositional and hierarchical. So it impacts people of all genders in different ways. Men because they may feel pressure to adhere to stereotypes or even harmful ideas about how to be a man. And there can be equally restrictive stereotypes that are pushed onto women and gender diverse people. All of this has strong links to gender-based violence because it can result in punishments for people when they don't conform to their expected roles. But also, as noted earlier, men who rigidly conform to gender stereotypes, and in particular ideas of how men are supposed to be, are more likely to perpetrate violence against people of all genders, especially women and non-binary people, but also other men.
Driver 4. Male peer relations and cultures of masculinity that emphasise aggression, dominance and control. Men's relationships with other men can be a positive source of support, comfort and celebration. But when male peer relationships are characterised by aggression, dominance, control or hypersexuality, the idea that men need a lot of sex and should actively pursue it, we know that men's violence against women is more likely, particularly in male-dominated contexts. The research outlined in Men in Focus shows that some men often display stereotypical behaviours of masculinity when they interact and bond with other men in order to prove their manliness to their peers. This can sometimes manifest in these more harmful forms and cultures of masculinity that are overtly aggressive, sexist and homophobic. Sometimes we see this play out in the workplace, the school playground or in sports clubs, for example. It also means that these men are less likely to intervene or call out their male peers and friends when they witness these attitudes and behaviours due to loyalty to other men and wanting to fit in.